she said that this was like fall of the year, or let's see, yeah, the fall, like September. And he was working on Grandpa's farm with this road crew, and his brother John Eastman was also working there. And anyway, my mother had noticed the men out there, and she asked who the Norwegian fellow was, and Grandpa said, well, I guess he's not Norwegian, but his name is Walter Eastman. So anyway, they met, and he and his brother John and my mother and sisters, they would walk to a little church up the road about a quarter of a mile evenings, got acquainted that way, you know. And they got married already in December, early December.
That went quite
so
quickly
I suppose
then.
he was about ready to move on with his job, and they lived at Hillsborough when they were first married. And he hauled milk in a wagon, a team of horses.
How old were they when they got married?
She was 20 and he was, yeah, she was 20 in late September, and he was 28. Yeah, his birthday was November, so he was just 28.
And they had 2 children who died before one lived, right?
They had our oldest brother Joel, and then they had two daughters that died, and then there was 3 more of us, and then the son after me that was stillborn, and then from then on there was 4 more. So anyway, they had 8 children that they raised. My dad, we couldn't get him to do it very often, but he was a good dancer. He liked to do a little Irish jig once in a while. And when he went to dances, my mother said he would dance too fast for her. She said he always double-timed, and she couldn't keep up with him. So,
Didn't you say?
so she didn't always dance with my dad. I danced with him when I was about 14.
But didn't you say he could jump right out of a barrel? He was so...
Oh, he claimed he could do that.
Yeah.
When he was young, the guys would have contests.
Billy used to do that.
Did he? Valley did?
Jump out of the breath. He also,
You're supposed to do it with no hands, just leap up and out.
Wow.
he used to
That was kind of a big...
go over in the tavern here. They had 2 poles, 3-inch pipes going up to support the roof, you know. And he used to climb up on that and click his feet together 3 times before he come down.
He was quick, actually, too.
Valley,
He used to like to polka. And I polka with him a time or 2 when we were young. I'm telling you, you know what you can do to keep up with him. He's kind of a short fellow.
He picked you up like a rag doll.
My dad didn't have time to run us back and forth, and so he let my 15-year-old brother drive the buggy and the one horse we had called Nellie, who was a good little horse, and she would pull us to school, and then she was put in a barn of a friend's home, and they boarded her during the day, you know, so we had to go home in the evening. So that's how I went to school, my first grade. And then when this accident happened, it was in April, I think, or March. It was Easter Sunday. Anyway, I had to speak the 23rd Psalm, and I wasn't quite 7. But somehow I had it memorized and did that. And then we were on our way home from church, and this couple of men in an open car, an old open car. It was a sunny, bright day, and they came from behind us, and it came so fast. And they hit us in the back end and knocked us off the road. And we went down in a kind of a shallow ditch. And
Who was with you, Mom? Who was...
Well, my oldest brother and Blanche and Robert, my brother and sister. And I know my brother got tossed out in the road, and he got an injured hip out of it. Otherwise, lucky he didn't get it broken. It was just bruised up real bad. And my sister and I were sitting on the seat, and our brother Robert sat in front on a little, what used to be an old cheese box or prune box. I made them out of wood. It was about so big. Anyway, none of us were hurt too bad, but that car kept right on going, and it was a sharp curve, and I can remember seeing it going around that curve. There was two guys, and so of course the horse, little Nellie, she broke loose. She ran home, and my dad was terrified when she came running, and she fell on the bridge. There's a little bridge on the entrance into the farm, and so she was kind of ruined for driving anymore because she was so nervous about cars after that. And but Dad, he knew something was wrong, so he got the old Model T Ford, came down to see where we were, and when he found out we were okay, he headed for Hillsboro. That's where the car was going. And he caught up with him in the edge of Hillsboro. It was about probably 4 or 5 miles. And he convinced them they had to replace our buggy and stuff like that. Anyway, they were drinking, and they claimed that the sun was in their eyes, that's why they couldn't see us. Dad said it was moonshine in their eyes, that's what it was. I never forgot that, because he was pretty upset. And of course he was a non-drinker himself, so he didn't have much time for anybody that did that, you know. They had 8 children that they raised, 8 that lived. They lost 3. And so they had a busy life, and they were always on farms. He traded farms every so often. So we moved quite a bit. Well, first place I was there till I was 7. I went to first grade in Union Center, Wisconsin. And then that summer in August we moved to Valley, Wisconsin, and on another farm, and then I went to school there till I was 14, and then we moved to Lafarge. We were there 2 years on 2 different farms. And then when I was a junior, we moved to Hillsboro, and I finished high school in Hillsboro in 1942.
Didn't they move?
So that's kind of bringing it up to
Didn't they move again, and you had to board with another family to finish high school?
Well, yeah, I stayed, yeah, they moved again when I was a senior. I thought, oh no, I can't change schools again. This is like March 1st. Actually, I was ready to graduate there. And so I had a girlfriend who graduated the year before, and she worked in the office. And she asked me if I'd like to stay at their house.
And you got good grades, didn't you, huh? Were you
pretty good for moving as much
yeah,
as I
were
did.
you one of the tops in your class?
Well, I was 5th in the class. Got 92 something. But anyway, for the average of high school. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
And then how is it that you went to Eau Claire during World War II?
That was,
You finished
the
high
next
school?
spring. I finished high school 42, and then in that fall, in December, I went to vocational school in Madison for a few weeks, and the end of February, then I got placed on a job in Eau Claire in a defense plant. And it used to be a Gillette tire plant, and it was converted to a more plant where they made .30 caliber ammunition. Well, I was sorting ammunition and doing that sort of thing, and I went in with a job of junior inspector. So
How
I
long?
worked there until the place closed that fall. I worked like from 1st of March until the end of October, and then the war was, you know, simmering down a little, and
That in 44 then, or?
then I went home in that same fall, and then 44 I worked, then I started working in Laval at a department store for a year or so. And then I worked in a shirt factory at Reedsburg. Eventually, then got married in 1950.
But your mother
My
got...
mother died in 1947. And that's one reason I wanted to be home too. She got heart trouble, and the word the plant was just closing. So I went home and helped her for the first few months. And then I worked at Laval. It was only 2 miles from home, in the store.
And Blanche was in Madison.
Blanche worked in Madison from out of high school. Right away she worked in a restaurant down there. And then got a job for the state working at Memorial Union. She cooked.
And didn't you say she sent you some money if you would
She
stay
did,
home?
yeah. So one of us felt we had to be there after my mother died because we raised garden and all. And she paid me some of her wages to stay and help.
So then you quit the shirt factory and you went...
Well, the shirt factory, that's another story. Every job I had, the job ended. Shirt factory sold out and moved down south. So I didn't really quit, but I was laid off, you know. I was without a job, but that was okay. We made policemen's uniforms, and actually what I sold was pockets and collars. It was piecework, they called it.
Wow.
So,
And tell us about your mother, how she passed and...
well, she had heart trouble and had some heart attacks now and then, just wasn't very strong. She died at 52 and at home, and I was there. And so then Blanche came and stayed the summer. She took a leave of absence for, I think, about 6 months. My mother died in February. And then when she went back to work, we made the deal I would stay home and continue helping, and she didn't want to lose her good job either down there. So that worked out good. She paid me something each month, and my dad never seemed to ever have much money ahead, so I didn't expect much from him. Once in a great while, when my mother was still living, she'd say, "Walter, Betty needs this or that. You would give me $20." Well, that was like quite a bit at that time, you know.
Yeah.
And but it was not regular, you know. It was just so.
So you helped raise the 4 younger ones then, right?
Well, the younger ones were all old enough. We all worked together, pretty much. And my 2 sisters and 2 brothers younger than me. And the older ones were all gone by then. Robert had gone in the Army. He was just 2 years older than me. And he was in Egypt for occupational, what do they call it? You know, he didn't see any active, he didn't see active war, but they had the occupational soldiers there, you know.
And you said Walter signed up without your dad's knowledge?
When he was a senior, because he was just 2 years younger than me, or 3 years. He didn't want to be kept out of the Army to have to work on the farm. He kind of wanted to go, so he signed up and went.
And then came home and told your dad that he signed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it worked out good. He only had to be at Camp McCoy. It was toward the end of the war, Second World War.
So he was never overseas?
He was never overseas, no. And he got his GED, then he came home in the spring after he was in, I don't know how long he was in, a couple of years or so. But he was lucky. He was at Camp McCoy, and that was north of Laval, and he would just get a you know, catch a ride home with his thumb. They used to hitchhike then.
As you are, it's much better by far to be young at heart. And if you should survive to 105, look at all you'll derive.